Hey girl. So I was scrolling on my phone the other day, as one does, and I saw this one TikTok and it was something like 2025 is the year of 5 sauce because, you know, like 2025 backwards looks like it says 5 sauce. I'll let you watch the video.
You look lonely. I can fix that.
But so anyways, it got me thinking, I've been seeing a lot of 5 Sauce Revival content lately, and I haven't seen any content from 5 Sauce themselves. So like, I was just wondering, like, why did everybody suddenly remember that 5 Sauce exists, and how are they still like relevant 10 years later? And I think I really found what sets them apart. Before we get into all of that though, let me just introduce myself really quickly. Hi, welcome to my channel where I talk about music and music related things that I find interesting. I like to talk about artists, albums, events, and observations that I see happening in the music world. So if that's something that you guys seem to be into, you're welcome to like, subscribe, and stick around for a little while. Now, of course, you might be wondering, who is 5 Sauce? And don't worry, girl, I got you. 5 Sauce. Sorry, I had to flex for a minute. 5 Sauce, or 5 Seconds of Summer, is an Australian band that makes like pop rock kind of music. They created the band on December 3rd of 2011 with 4 members. We have the lead singer, Luke Hemmings, the bassist, Callum Hood, the drummer, Ashton Irwin, and the guitarist, Michael Clifford. They've been creating music for over like 10 years now. They survived the boy band craze of the 2010s, though they're not a boy band themselves.
So, as a boy band...
What the fuck?
What did you call us?
Are you kidding my ass?
Again.
You think we're a fucking boy band?
A boy band.
And they happened to tour with a certain very popular boy band in 2013, where many of you may know them from. And aside from that, they've released 5 studio albums, one of their most popular ones being in 2018, Youngblood, which you also may know them from. And as of today in early 2025, they are pregnant with their 6th album, and they share many photos of them in the studio as if ultrasounds of their babies, and I'm sure we can anticipate new music from them soon. But why is it that they're still so popular and yet so unknown? And how did they survive the 2010s and how did they stay relevant today? I, as your resident Chronically Online best friend, have all the answers for you in today's video. Let's take it back to 2011, and from 2011 to 2012, the band was like just starting off. Like they were like teens at this stage. And it started off with Luke, then Michael, then Callum joining in, and then finally Ashton, and they posted covers of other songs on YouTube. One of their most popular ones at the time being their cover of Blink-182's I Miss You, which brought a lot of eyes to their music. And it was soon in like 2012 and 2013 where they began coming out with their own music, releasing an EP and playing small shows in Sydney, Australia, obviously. And in 2012 and 2013, they released a lot of acoustic videos of, you know, just them singing, and one was of one of their own songs, Gotta Get Out, which caught the attention of a member of a very popular band at the time, Louis Tomlinson of One Direction. And he tweeted about them saying, "Been a fan of this band for a while, everybody get behind them." And now this tweet attracted even more people to their fan base, and later in 2013 and 2014, the band was invited to open for One Direction on 2 tours, on the Take Me Home tour and the Where We Are tour, and it exposed them to global audiences, even though they'd only sang like 5 songs at the time, one of them literally being a Katy Perry cover. They managed to capture hearts of fangirls and fanboys worldwide. But in 2014, they released their debut album, 5 Seconds of Summer, and they managed to release over 20 songs that year. With the album, deluxe, and B-sides, they achieved international success and solidified their presence in the industry. They had hit singles at the time, such as She Looks So Perfect, Good Girls, and Amnesia, all being on the record. They quickly became a pillar of mid-2010s pop scene with a little bit of punk rock flair showing in their music. They leaned more into it in 2015 with their next album, Sounds Good Feels Good, and their first ever headline tour, Rock Out With Your Socks Out tour. As the members of the band began to get older, entering their late teens and early 20s, their music heavily reflected that, as the album debuted at #1 in multiple countries, and their next tour, Sounds Live Feels Live, was just as much of a success. Now this album, while having a lot of songs and like commercial hits, I feel like it's one of their most forgotten albums, as like the only song I can really remember being like a hit off of it was She's Kinda Hot. You know, I think it was more of like the aesthetics of the era that boosted them more into fame. Luke had a lip ring, all the other members looked really good. It was like Ashton's bandana moment. It was like pop punk, but if you put pop in like really big words and then punk. They said that they took influences from a lot of other punk bands. They even did a cover of Green Day's American Idiot at one point. And we know that they do have this sort of like rock punk influence in their music, but I feel like this was a very like popified, watered down version for the teenage girls to, you know, sink their teeth into a little bit. But it was after their 2015-2016 Sounds Good Feels Good era that the band spent the next year on hiatus. They spent this like year and a half to kind of explore themselves, explore relationships, you know, go through breakups, the whole works. And though it was after this time of introspection and such things that they also worked on what I believe, me personally, is one of their most like creative and diverse sounding records. And which record is that, you might be asking? Obviously it's Youngblood. The band, mainly Luke and Ashton, but you know, the band as a whole, found a way to take all of their pain, all their emotion that they were feeling, anything that they were feeling within that year, and put it all into their music, creating this piece of art. And I mean art. I think it was like this break that allowed them to really evolve artistically in their work, and you can really see it in their music, as the title track of the album became a global hit. It was Song of the Year. It has over 1 billion streams, almost 2 billion now. It's at 1.9. That is insane. And overall the album is just beautiful. It's incredible. The lyrics are like painful but so fun-filled. It's exactly what I imagine the lives of men in their 20s are like, and the feelings that they're feeling. It goes through heartbreak, it goes to parties, it's like the whole shebang. And their tour, Meet You There tour, was again just as successful as the album, and they also joined the Chainsmokers on their World War Joy tour, which was cool, I guess. I mean, but now we're entering 2020, and I think this is where we really see a shift in their music, as the band released their 4th studio album, Now Calm, and it low-key flopped. And they were gonna do a tour for this album, No Shame Tour, with the band Camino as their opener, but that didn't happen for unknown reasons. But it was also in 2020, with all this time just indoors and everything, that Ashton, the drummer of the band, embarked on his first solo project, apart from the band releasing his own album, Super Bloom, in October of that year. And now this divided the fandom, and I remember it vividly. Allegations of the band breaking up were thrown left and right, but you know, that happens kind of every year, and new fans of Ashton were walking into the fandom, like that one picture of Troy Barnes holding the pizza. It was chaos. And it only continued into the next year when Luke, the lead singer, also announced that he was doing a solo album. When Facing Things We Turn Away From would release in August of 2021. Everyone was in shambles. I was scared. The 10-year anniversary was swiftly approaching, and we didn't even know if the band was still together. But then, like an angel singing from heaven, the band announced that they'd be releasing a new single at the end of the year titled 2011, and they would be posting this like TV special style documentary performance thing to commemorate their 10 years together as a band. And in the lead up to this, they also posted like podcast episodes sort of discussing each year of them as a band. Now this era, like 2011 is probably one of my like top 5 5 songs for me, maybe even like top 3, and I watched that 10 years video more times than I'd like to admit. And overall, I think it was just something very sweet to do as a band for their fans, for themselves, and it looked really fun to film, doing all the skits and performances. It's just like overall a really fun watch. I'd heavily recommend it to anyone who's a fan and hasn't seen it yet. But Five Sauce was not done. They continued to release singles into 2022 and released their 5th studio album now, aptly titled 5 Sauce 5, and it brought this new sound where it's not exactly like new, it's a much more elevated version of their previous music, I like to think. It's very similar and calm, now that the band is in their late 20s, even early 30s, but the lyrics are much more intense on this album, and you can really feel it. It's like an experience that you just have to listen to understand, honestly, and I cried the first time I listened to the album. It was in the summers of 2022 and 2023 that they went on 2 tours and recorded another live album. And now more recently in 2024, Ashton and Luke have both released more music. Luke has gone on a solo tour and canceled a second leg of a solo tour. Michael has had a baby with his wife, not MPreg or anything, unfortunately. And the band continues to post about being in the studio and making music together. Oh, and Callum's Twitter keeps on getting hacked. But what is it that's kept this band afloat for so long? For 12 years now, with such a strong fan base, I think we can take from a lot of themes that we've seen throughout the years of both this band and other bands before them. Five Sauce is a band. They're a real band. They have a drummer, they have a guitarist, they have a bassist, which you don't really need a bassist for a band, but they have like people playing instruments, right? And they are people that actually enjoy to make music and work together. From what we've seen in other groups of the 2010s that flopped, i.e. like One Direction, pretty much Why Don't We, is that they don't really like each other or know each other really, or they're just like overall like insanely problematic. They end up sort of just being grouped together and having to make it work. Like these bands, I'm gonna call them bands, they're really like not, but these bands are usually made on shows like X Factor, American Idol, Simon Cowell. Sorry, something was in my throat. But they're just like guys who literally met on the spot. Whereas Five Sauce has had a little bit more history with each other, and I think that's really what sets them apart. I think their ability to give each other space in their own lives and work on solo projects along with working together as a band and creating music is something that contributes a lot to both their friendship and relationship as band members and bandmates. I think that's something that I really appreciate about them. I'm excited to see what they have for the future and what new music is going to be released. When they're going to tour, trust you're going to see me there. But I think that's all the thoughts I have on the topic. So basically, to answer my question, why is Five Sauce still around? It's because they actually like each other and because they actually enjoy to make music, and it doesn't feel like the sort of chore where they have to sit down with their bandmates every day and record a song. But let me know if you want to see more videos in this style. I'm moving back to my apartment soon, so I'm not gonna get this background as much. And if you made it to the end of the video, I'm still running my album of the day series, so if you have any suggestions for just albums to listen to, please just leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And if you have any other thoughts on the video or any ideas for future videos, just my comments are always open. Okay, bye.